Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Hitmonkey Season 2, Episode 6. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, we're immediately picking up after the whole situation with Akiko, and Eunice kind of rips the monkey a new one, because it's like, to be fair, he has only been our client for a short amount of time, and he's kind of made things bad for her, ruined her business in a lot of ways, killed that vetter, well, got them killed, plus got her involved in all this stuff, and also left her to kick it with the co-op. And it's like, you didn't even have the decency to tell me to my face. It's like, to be fair, he was going to, but then like the Akiko thing happened. I wonder how would Eunice feel about Akiko, like, getting away? I mean, I'd assume they know that Akiko got away, that he didn't kill her. Not unless he lied about it. But they didn't come up this episode. Only thing we got this episode was Iris being like, yeah, I'm sorry about what happened. I know, like, I heard from Bryce, like, how close you and Akiko were. So, that's about it. But it's interesting because this episode just furthers that divide between Monkey and Bryce. Because Bryce is like, oh, I'm busting his balls a little bit. But it's like, right, me and him, we're pals, we're a team. But then he sees, like, because Iris is telling Bryce, like, right, you can be a lot. You can be an irritating douchebag. So, like, give him space. But it's like, no, we've been through too much together. We kind of need each other. But it's like, now it's a situation of you need Monkey more than Monkey needs you. You know, and maybe that's how it always was. Up to a certain point, he needed you. But now he has other people. Like, Monkey hasn't really had any friends. He hasn't really had a tribe. He had Bryce for a while. They had each other. But then it's like, now he's also got Haruka. But even now, it's like he's got people who he feels like understand him more. Because they're in the same boat as him. They're assassins who try to turn over a new leaf to do some good. So it's something like Bryce can't understand. He feels like Bryce won't understand. He feels like Haruka won't really understand either. So, but basically the final alderman, the shepherd, sent a message. I wasn't expecting the bird just to be a messenger, but it's like, yeah, we're going to go out to this particular location and end this once and for all. And I think it speaks volumes that Boone is a little aggro, where Haruka, I forgot what it was, like Haruka was saying, like, I forgot what she said something and it irritated Boone, and he was like, we have to end this now and be careful. And like, he kind of went a little psycho for a bit. So I was like, I don't know if this alderman's the one that really, I mean, he blames all of the aldermans for what happened to his brother in particular, for him, like, and Colt all being like manipulated into doing a lot of killing and eventually pushing his other brother down the route of just pure darkness. It just he seemed a little aggro, but it's also like, what the way the episode plays out could just be like, oh, we're this close to getting the final weapon and we can finally put it all together for the final relic and stuff like that. But they make their way to the shepherd's place, where Bryce goes in and to talk to him, and he actually has a sit down and has dinner with him and his wife. It's kind of like, okay, why is this playing out this way? At first, I was thinking he was going to try and convince Bryce to join his side, because apparently, very much, well, because he talked about like the other aldermen bringing him in, because it started off with the best of intentions. That's what I never really got a clear-cut answer for this in this. But maybe it's kind of implying like they are the first aldermen. This ain't a long lineage or something. This ain't like they lived forever. It's like no, they are the only aldermen that have existed. They gathered up the items and came together to manipulate the world and push it in a certain direction within their lifetimes or however long. Because he says the aldermen came to find him. So at least some, maybe not all, but some of the group was already together by the time he got involved. So I don't know if it's going to be a thing of he was the last member to join or whatever the case may be. He talked about like, right, they started off with the best of good intentions, but then, you know, it was actually Valerie, he was like, that convinced him, well, why try to do good when you can just get what you want? And that's the path they went down. So I think that kind of speaks volumes of like what these weapons do to people. And lo and behold, we have one group, the aldermans, and now we have the co-op, who could just as easily sway and become the aldermans if they haven't already. So, but basically the shepherd was saying like, yeah, he's gotten old and he's just, it's kind of like his time to put up that's why I was thinking, like, is he going to pass it on to Bryce or something, manipulate Bryce? It's like, no, he puts a bullet in his own head and says goodbye to his wife. It was actually kind of, up until that point, it was kind of sweet and endearing, their relationship. But then she decides, like, it's my time to take the mantle. I don't know if that was, like, always the plan, or that was just her plan last minute, or who knows what they really discussed. She was okay with this being his end and knew it was going to be, so... Because for one, it's like he's the only alderman left too, so it's kind of like, well, it's hard to kind of uphold all this by myself, and I'm also getting owed, so kind of have to pass this mantle on to someone else to kind of deal with these weapons. Because he was making a whole conversation about, like, right, there's no way of really getting rid of all evil. Like, it's going to be perpetual. The battle of good versus evil was always going to continue to exist. And Valerie ended up using the Shepherd powers and ended up attacking our co-op. I love, God, what was that helmet from Peacemaker, the one that gets used in the final episode? It gets used twice. I forgot what it's called now. It's not torpedo, was it? The basically supersonic headbutt like thing that gets used. It like Bryce using Amara like a bullet, like grabbing her because her body is made of stone and basically slamming her through. Either it was a spider or I think it was a spider. Like, it made me go, it just immediately made me think of that. So I thought that was dope. There's also something they hinted earlier in the episode, the whole aspect of we're going up against someone who can control animals, and we're bringing an animal to all this. That's pretty smart, you know, being like sarcastic about, like, oh, that's a pretty great idea, isn't it? And sadly, Monkey does get control. He tries to fight it. I thought it was interesting where she was like, because I brought it up previously. I was like, yeah, humans are animals, but there's still a distinction. Because she's like, right, humans forgot their instincts as animals, whereas animals haven't. They're still driven by their nature, and that's what makes it possible to control them or revert them to their truest nature. And he turns into a full giant gorilla looking, giant monkey. Kind of reminds me of Rampage, actually. And Bryce tried to talk him down, but Bryce's words didn't get through. It ended up being Boone who ended up getting through him. Not even using his powers, he just talked to him because he's like, I know what it's like to basically like talking about people being selfish. So, like, stop bending yourself to other people's will, whether it's the Shepherd, whether it's his wife, or even Bryce. Just kind of like take back your own power. And obviously that all meant something to, like, despite everything Bryce saying, like, right, we were partners and everything, but it's just like the monkey's pulled so far away from Bryce that Bryce is just kind of a reminder of not who he wants to be anymore, and the co-op does. And so that is kind of sad that despite everything, Bryce trying to be there, like, time and time again for Monkey, it's just he's slipping further and further away from him, that even he couldn't reach out to him, but Boone could. And Monkey proceeds to kill Valerie in a very brutal way, slamming her body repeatedly. It's like, oh, well, you're like, well, if hell is where they're going, at least maybe they're together in some shape or form. It's just, you kind of feel a little bad because you got to spend time, because none of the other aldermen did you really get to spend a lot of time with. You just had that sweet moment between the Shepherd and his wife, so it kind of makes it a little sadder, but it's also like, yeah, she's a bad guy, but still. So the end result is they finally have the final weapon. Now they're going to put it together and make the final relic. But this whole situation has left Bryce, well, feeling a certain way on the outskirts. But Haruka experienced something while she was with Double Tap, and they were in the cave. He showed off the different goggles functions. And what was it? Was it the thermal one? She noticed he had the yellow eyes. Because that's the thing that kept getting me, because I was like, who the hell is this final person? Because, like, we're down to the final alderman, but I don't see him being the one that came after Haruka's precinct. And it's like, okay, she's thinking it was Double Tap, and she even brings this up to Bryce. None of the aldermen that they cross paths with, none of them used guns. The only person on this squad who uses a gun is Double Tap, who keeps stressing we don't need a second gun person on this team. That's why he's like, yeah, Monkey's expendable, yada yada yada, right? So not less Double Tap is working with someone else, but like I said, it feels like it might be, well, the way Haruka's thinking about it, it has to be the entire group, but maybe not. I don't know. They can't talk to Monkey about it either because he's already drunk the Kool-Aid, and he won't believe them even if they bring that up. And it's like, because you don't know who to trust on that team, because it seems like it might be the whole squad. It might not be Double Tap, but not unless he's kind of working with someone else and we just don't know. Like, not unless he made those moves without the rest of the team knowing. Because I brought it up previously. Like, if anyone was going to betray the team, I'd assumed it was going to be Boone. Still could be the case, because what we don't know is, well, we know that Boone's powers are getting to people's head and control them. So who's to say, without them realizing it, without even Double Tap realizing it, that Boone is the bad guy, but the rest of the co-op aren't bad? That maybe they were all controlled and manipulated by Boone to do all this. Once again, maybe it's not Boone. Maybe it's secretly his brother Colt. Yada yada yada. But more likely, Boone's just straight up evil. I don't know. I don't know. Because who's to say, like, everything he told Monkey last episode, who's to say that's 100% the truth? And even if it is, like, he could have admitted or twisted certain facts about it. So even though it might be mostly true, there might have been, like, some lies of omission type of thing. So definitely, I don't know. Because I know there's a twist coming, and I'm just not sure what shape or form that's going to take. Haruka did take Bonsai Master's sword. I'm pretty sure she just replaced it with Monkey's just so they wouldn't recognize it, because the swords look enough alike. So that's going to blow up in their face next episode when they try to put the weapons together. And so Bryce and Haruka go off with Eunice, and you could tell Eunice was upset, and I was like, where are they going? I was like, right, that's that holiday spot, her getaway spot that she talked about earlier in the episode when she was chewing out Monkey, being like, I'm not going to take you here, don't even think about it. So now, like, her getaway place, just to get away from it all, now involves all of this. So now she has to bring Haruka and Bryce and all this other bullshit to, like, her getaway place. So that's why she was extra annoyed. I mean, Bryce is the annoying person that he is, but she's extra annoyed by it also. We'll see where all that ends up taking us. Plus, the flip side of this episode involved Buddy's retirement and Iris going balls to the wall at the party, drinking, like, partying it up, having a good time, and proceeding to, like, trauma dump on Buddy. It's his party, but she's the one getting extra drunk and talking about her dad and all the stuff she's going through and the job that she loves. Because she initially did it just to piss her dad off, but now it's like, I actually do like the job, cleaning up stuff. I love that whole bit about getting Buddy there. It's like, yeah, Gatling kind of went a little crazy. You know, a whole bunch of fat Italians are like, well, how fat? She's like, 500 pounds plus and dragged against the carpet. So it's like, oh yeah, gonna be extra hard to get those stains out. But like I said, it was all a ploy for the party. But yeah, Iris is kind of partying it up. And they had drawn the parallels. I think at Eunice specifically was like, oh, like daughter, like father. It's like, yeah, in this moment, you're like, yeah, she's a lot like Bryce in this moment. So when she does wake up, she actually talks to Buddy, who's like, yeah, you're kind of a little harsh on your dad, saying like there is no good and evil, like there's so much gray area in the world, so it's not just like, not everyone falls into that category. Like it's so simple to label everything good and bad. But he talks about the fact is, oh, I was going through a divorce, how'd I get through it? Pills and your dad. Anytime he was dealing with something, had one of his crimes, I was there to clean up. He'd always stick around and talk to me. You know, he was kind of there for me and supportive. So it's like, that's the type of person your dad is. You know, kind of cut him some slack. Because once again, we know the reason why he left, and he had explained to it, but it still doesn't change the fact is you've had almost 2 decades worth of resentment built up. So it's understandable that, you know, that's not just going to go away overnight. Despite how close you guys have semi-gotten, there's still that barrier. Now, I mean, I think she's probably able to compartmentalize and keep a lot of that anger to herself, but it came out because she was drunk. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much of an effect that conversation with Buddy had. I wonder, will she eventually have to take under a protege, because she was working for Buddy for as long as he's been around before his retirement. But will this like be the end? Because he says he enjoys cleaning up, so that's always going to be something he's going to do. So I'm curious to see what ends up happening on the Iris side of things, but in conjunction with everything else that's going down in this episode too. Like I said, the Aldermans have been dealt with. We still got the Akiko and Lady Bullseye of it all, but there's the co-op, so still plenty of threads to pull on to see where all this takes us going forward with the rest of the episodes. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, Be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.